Hi everyone, welcome back. In case you're new here, we talk about tips and tricks that will make your food photography stand out. My name is Anja Burgar, I'm a food and product photographer, and believe it or not, I used to make a ton of photography mistakes. I still make them. Is anyone ever really perfect? So for this video, I'm gonna go through a few of my old photos and try to find things that I'd do differently if I shot them today. Okay, let's head to the first one. This is a tomato pie from my blog, and I swear it's absolutely delicious, but there are a few things I could do differently to make this photo better. First of all, I really love the light in this photo. I love the mood. The reds and the oranges really stand out from the black background. I also like the angle. It makes the pie shine in all the right ways. But there are a few issues I have with this photo. First, let's look at the subject placement. I don't know if you noticed this immediately, but the main subject, so the pie, is located centrally, so right in the middle of the photo. While this is not necessarily a mistake, I usually prefer going off-center, especially for rustic photos, where things should not really be too geometric. So I'd actually move this pie slightly to the either side to break that geometry. So second thing is the focus. And this is the one thing that's probably bothering me the most in this photo. So if I zoom in, you can see that the focus lies on the napkin here instead of the pie. And the pie is actually completely out of focus. So this is why I actually zoom in for each photo nowadays, just to make sure that the focus is where I want it to be, especially whenever I'm not using manual focus. So I like the reds and oranges forming a curve, but I think if this curve would kind of circle around the photo a little bit more, it would make the photo more connected. So instead of the line leading the eyes away from the scene towards the back, I would actually want to put something in bright red or orange on the right side somewhere. And this would kind of make the curve basically go back and point to the main subject. It would make it easier for the eye to kind of flow around rather than to kind of wander off in the back. I'm not a huge fan of this big bowl of salt here. I think it's too big, and therefore it also really appears very bright. Especially in comparison to the size of this pie. And I think a smaller bowl would work better. And I'd also choose a bowl that's a little bit darker. And there's one other thing when it comes to styling the dish. I really like to have some imperfections, especially in those more rustic photos. So for this pie, I really think that I could use some crumbs on the plate to show off the texture and kind of give it that freshly baked crunchy pie look. So that's that, and let's go to the next photo. Okay, so at the first glance, I'm pretty sure you already probably guessed what I'll criticize first. It's the not so subtle slant on the cookie stack. It's leaning to the left, and it really feels like this is going to kind of fall. Not sure what happened here, since the bowls are looking pretty straight. I should really make sure that the stack is straight by either choosing other cookies or propping them up so the stack looks nice and straight. However, I might say that the light in this photo looks beautiful. I think the flowers in this photo look beautiful. I think the flower here on top is placed really nicely, and soft flowers like cherry blossoms are not very easy to style. In terms of composition, I think that the repeating elements such as the cookies and the flowers, they look pretty natural, but I have the issue with the bowls here in the back. Compared to the size of the cookie stack, they are very big. At that time, I don't think I really had any small pinch bowls, at least not some that were white and shiny. So what I could have done is place them more towards the edge of the frame. So they're still visible, but they appear much smaller in size. I could also do the same with this one. So that's a technique I very often use when I don't have props in the correct size, especially when I have larger props. I actually wouldn't remove the balls completely because they add so much visual interest, but just moving them to the side would make them less prominent and not so distracting. Okay, let's move to the last photo for this video. Again, I like the light here. The backlight really emphasizes the shining on the spaghetti really nicely. First of all, the scene is pretty busy, but it's meant to be like that, and that's why all the props are very neutral in color, and I like that. I would like to add a little bit of an accent color somewhere in the frame, maybe a cherry tomato or another piece of Parmesan cheese somewhere around. Just something to make that connection of the scene with the food, with the plate. There is one basil stem right here, but I'd add another one somewhere in the probably the bottom right corner if it would make sense, because I'd have then the 3 green accents and an odd number, which usually works better than even numbers. One other thing in this composition is really bothering me, and that's the small bottle here in the front. We really can't see what's inside, so it's just distracting, because I keep asking myself what's in there. I'm guessing it's lavender because there's lavender here on the backdrop. There's no lavender in the spaghetti, so even if I'd wanted to use it as table decoration, I'd move it to the side somewhere, not place it so centrally. As far as the bottle goes, I like the reflections in the glass, so I could have replaced it with a glass of wine or water instead of placing lavender here inside. Then if we zoom in, we can see that the focus lies here in the top, at the top of the spaghetti, which is totally fine, like it's placed centrally. But what I could have done is actually grate the cheese more to the front so that the grater and the cheese would actually be more in focus. Also, the focus is pretty narrow, or I could have chosen a higher f-stop to make that part of the front part of the spaghetti a little bit more in focus. And one other styling thing that's easy to forget is the olives. They look so dry. Olives tend to dry out really quickly, so I usually reapply some of that liquid before taking the final photo, but it seems like I forgot. And I think just having that the olives shine would make all the difference. So these were the 3 photos for today's photo critique. Let me know in the comments below if it's something you'd like me to do more often. I know that looking at photos and stopping to see what's working and what's not is a really great way to learn. So I'm very curious to hear if that's a format that you'd like to see more of. Anyway, this was all from me today. If you enjoy watching the video and would like to see more videos like this, don't forget to subscribe and hit the bell. Have a lovely day, and I'll see you next time.